What is up, folks? Briston Gaming back with another episode of Valheim Mods Weekly, the show where we help you figure out what mods are good for you. And this week we have got a fun, easy little week ahead of us. As you see here on the screen, we don't have a whole lot we're going to cover, but what we do cover is going to encompass a whole lot. Haha. Anyway, before we jump into anything, I want to take a second to say thank you to everybody who has liked and subscribed on the content because it has helped out a great deal, and your comments do mean a lot to me, especially if it's stuff like, hey, I liked this, I didn't like that, you can improve by doing this. Those things I really enjoy. So thank you to everybody who has done that. I really appreciate it. But now we're going to go ahead and jump on our first mod of the week, and our first mod is called More Gates by Lord Hayes, and this is a really cool mod because if you're one of these guys that just builds a whole bunch, or just like, I like having this base like this, but if you want to do something cool, you take your little repair hammer here, you right click, you go to building. This lets you do a whole lot with it. Like right now we have a drawbridge that we can actually build. So let's see if I can't get it to snap to the bottom of the stairs. Come on, not out that way. We'll just put it right there. But now it actually raises and lowers. So, I mean, this doesn't really do us any good right here, but depending upon where you build, something like this could be super duper helpful. But it doesn't just give you awesome little drawbridge. It actually lets you create cool windows too. So we're going to come in here and we're actually going to try to make our way up, if it'll let me get up the stairs. Come on. I really need to redo these stairs, make it a little bit better. Okay, so you see these little windows here? Those are okay. They're not bad. They're not terrible windows by any means. But that's not the windows I want. I want windows that I can look through or actually open and close, depending upon how everything goes. So this is cool because you see this. I'm actually going to go ahead and demolish that. And then watch this. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to build that there. And I'm going to build that there. Now, I can actually open windows. I can still see through them and everything. But, it's really neat. Like, times like this, it doesn't really do anything. But let's say you didn't like that. Like, you want windows that you can actually close. Oop, I hit the wrong button. Let's say you want windows you can actually close to keep out the cold. So you come here, and then you build these little small ones, these little closed off ones here. Bam. Bam. But now you can still open them during the warmer times and let air in. So this is just really cool because it lets you do a lot with a base to build stuff differently, to make stuff look a little bit more aesthetically pleasing and make things just kind of better overall. I know it was kind of rambly there. I'm sorry about that. But this is just a really super cool mod. Like, this goes really well with a lot of the prefab stuff I've showed off. Like, I showed off this one and then a couple other buildings and stuff. And these building pieces just really help with a lot of that. Like, you can actually use these to build. You can use these cool gates and doors and stuff here to actually build little barns for your animals. You've got a fancy gate here, so you can actually have, like, if you've got a big breeding area for pigs or wolves or whatever, you can actually set it up like this and actually have an awesome little breeding area like that with a big door that you can walk into a barn and just have, filled with whatever you've got breeding in there, loxes, wolves, pigs, whatever. And it makes it just super cool because of what you can do with the building aspects in this already amazing building aspecty game. And I like having stuff like this, like especially just as doors. Like, if you don't like your door like this just, it's just a plain little wooden door. So we can actually go ahead and take that out, and we can take this fancy gate here and put it in place of that, and now we have a cooler looking door on an already cool looking building. Like, look at that. That just looks really neat. It makes it look a lot better being able to do stuff like this because of how Lord Hayes has built this mod. There's just so many different little things that you can add to it. You've got little small hatches, so you can actually have cool little stuff to where it's like little drop pits and stuff. Like, I mean, you have to manually activate it yourself, but it's really cool for being able to trap animals. So, like, say you've got a wolf farm built or something, or you're trying to capture a wolf. So you do something like this, you run across it, the wolf's chasing you, bam, it falls in. Like, that's just, one little easy way that you can make these mods work for you and just doing almost anything in the game. But with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the next one. Alright, folks, so our next mod is called Move Piece by Killing God VH, which is just a weird name to want to pick for yourself. But anyway, I'm not here to judge. But this is a cool mod because it lets you move stuff around after you've already built it. Normally, what you'd have to do is like, okay, I don't like that where it's at. You got to demolish it and then put a new one up. It can be kind of a pain in the butt, like especially if you've got stuff in like a workshop. Like you don't necessarily always want to demolish like your kiln here. So instead, what you do is you hold down the key, and then you can move it around, get kind of where you want, and then you're like, okay, I need to move it over this way. So then you move, you bring it around, you're like, we're just gonna move it over here. And the cool thing is the config file for this lets you determine if you have to have the hammer in your hand to move stuff, or you can just move it without it. I've got it set for the hammer, so you just come over here, let it turn blue. There we go. Bam. Now we've moved our kiln. And that's what you can do with it. Now, it doesn't seem like a whole lot to a lot of people, but it's actually really nifty depending upon how you've got your base. Like, I don't want to do this over at our really cool base, so I just come over here and I do it at our crappy little base, because this was, just here to test stuff. It's not really an important thing, but I like that other base. So we're just going to play with this, and we're going to move this over, and bam, we can do that. Now, unfortunately, I accidentally spawned these in. I don't know how to get rid of them. But we can always block those off and then just move this stuff around. And that's why this is really cool, is because this lets you build your base a lot better and really make stuff look good. Now, you can't move building pieces the exact way and have them stick. Like, watch this. I can't get this to go back to how it was to get it to stick. It just kind of falls to the ground. But you can have it to where you can't move building pieces. You can only move furniture or crafting benches and stuff like that. And I don't really care about that anyway. This is just a crap base, just to show off how stuff works. But that's why this mod is really cool, because as you're building a base, if you want to move stuff around, instead of having to sit here and demolish these things to be able to move them and then have to rebuild, because that's always kind of a pain in the butt to sit here and be like, okay, how do we want to do this? We got to come here, we got to go to crafting, and then we click on kiln or click on this, and then it's like rotate. No, you can just pick it up and move it, especially if the distance isn't too far. It's a small little mod, but if you add this in with a bunch of other different kinds of mods that you've got going on, like this can really help how a build is laid out. Like if you really want to set a build to make it look good, you can use this to move stuff around and make small little changes that are really going to impact how a building is going to look. But with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to the last mod. Oh, folks, I have bad news for you. We lost 15 minutes of footage covering the last mod. Supposed to have been Odin Plus, but after my computer bricked itself, I was able to pull the hard drive out, put it in a new computer, save the footage from the first two mods, but I could not get Odin Plus to work anymore. There was just nothing I could do. It did not want to work. I couldn't get it to do anything like it was supposed to, and I'm just stymied. Now the mod I brought in to cover is also not working 100%. I'm still going to use it because it is still really cool, and what is there is still really good to have, but hopefully people will have better luck than I've had with mods the last couple of days. It's just, I'm so disappointed at this point. I just kind of want to get the video done, just because I am just heartbroken that I couldn't bring you guys the content I normally would. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this last one, and it is called Skyheim by Maximus, and it is a super cool mod. Now you see down here on my tool belt, I have got 6 little weapons that don't look like normal. Those are actually runes. And what Skyheim is cool is it lets you craft different kinds of runes that scale by tier of the boss. So you've got the first tier, which is Eikthyr, and it's the Frostbolt, it's the Frostbolt, Healing, Light, and Firebolt, which is this one here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and move that there. And then you've got the second tier, which is the Elder, and it's Force, Invigorate, and Warmth. And then you've got the third tier, which is Bone Mass, Recall, Travel, Blink. Fourth tier is Motor, and then it's Frost Nova and Immolate, which I have these two here, Frost Nova and Immolate. And then the final tier is Yagluth, or Yogluth, however you pronounce his name, and it's Glacial Spike. Now, I cannot get it to let me craft those last mods, or those last runes, and I don't know why. Like, I can't craft any of the Elder, or the Bone Mass, or Yogluths, even though I've killed them. And as you see, I've got the stuff here. I've been farming them for a couple of days now, trying to get everything to work. Like, I've got the Goblin Hearts, which is what you need to craft Glacial Spike. You need Goblin Heart and Dragon Tears. In order to craft the Frost Nova and Immolate, you need Dragon Tears, and you can see here, you need Dragon Tears. And then in order to craft the bone mass items, the recall, travel, and blink, you need slime encrusted bone, and then in order to craft the force, invigorate, and warmth, you need elder core. So I actually spawned in a couple of these just because I didn't want to have to kill anything, but I like killing Yoggoth, so we've got the goblin hearts there. But it's, oops, sorry, I didn't mean to hit it that many times, but it's kind of a letdown, so I can't show you everything, but I can show you some. And what I can show you is still really good to have. So when you're out and about and you're doing stuff, if you go ahead and you hit, like I've got number 3 here, this is the light. We'll go ahead and cast the light. This is why this is really cool, because when you're out doing in caves or anything like that, you don't have to have a torch, because this lights up pretty decently around you. And it's cool because you can sit there and pretend like you've got a little follower. At least I do. And then the healing is really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and equip it, or de-equip and then re-equip my shirt, and then I'm going to cast healing. And look at that. It adds a nice little 4-second heal over time. It doesn't restore massive amounts of health, but it restored a decent bit. It restored like 60 health points, which is, still pretty nice, especially in a pinch if you're trying to run away from some stuff. Like, I know it happens to me all the time where I'm out fighting the furlings, whatever the hell they're called, and then it's like, oh my god, I'm getting my butt kicked, and then I have to run away from the goblins. I pop this and then just keep running. But with that, what also really helps is you have the Frost Nova. So there was some necks over here. I think the necks are going to get killed by this. So you know what, we're actually going to go ahead and we're going to spawn in, if I could type, Grey Dwarf 3-1. So we've got 3 Grey Dwarves here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pop this. And look at what that does. It turns them into little ice cubes, which lets you get away. So you can actually run away, and you saw it didn't last super long, but it lets you run away if need be, or gives you some breather to go ahead, stun them, pop your health, and then run away. But then look at what Immolate does. So I've got Immolate. You see how it's got this little thing around me, and now it's just constantly spamming them with little fireballs that does a little bit of damage over time. So it's not like super ultra breaking. It's not OP. It's not anything that's going to just destroy the game. But look at what it's doing. And I wish I could show you Glacial Spike because it's super cool. But here's the... that's the Frostbolt. And then I'll go ahead and show you guys what the Fireball looks like. And it actually sets them on fire, which is still good too. If it works, you can just sit there and boom, peg them from a distance. Blam. And I'm gonna take off God mode real quick so you guys can see. You actually have a little mana bar down there on the bottom. You see that little blue bar? You actually have a mana bar, which is really cool. So we're gonna do something. We're gonna set up a scenario where, oop, not God mode. I did not mean to cast. I meant to do spawn Grey Dwarf 3-1. So let's say you're out and about doing stuff and you've got creatures following you and you're like, oh crap, I gotta get away. So you go ahead and you go boom. Then you come over, you cast your little heal, and then it's like, okay, now that they're away, now I can go. Oh no, I can't cast my Immolate. What do I do? Well, you wait a few seconds until your mana fills back up and then you cast it, and then you just keep leading the creatures away. And then once they're far enough, or once you're far enough away, or you got some mana back and you started casting, you turn around, you hit them with a Frostbolt, and then you keep running. So this mod actually does let you do a whole bunch of cool stuff, combat-wise, but not just combat, but utility as well, like with the healing and the light, because it is like super cool. But not only that, like if you can get the full mod to work and you use the Force Rune, it actually like pushes enemies and stuff away from you, which is still really good too, because like if you combine that with the Frost Nova and stuff, you can actually push everything away, freeze them in place, and then get the hell out of town if you need to. And then Invigorate is really cool because if your stamina is really low, like you've been sprinting away from anything like the Death Skeetos or anything like that, and your stamina is low, you can use the Invigorate to restore some stamina, which, don't need to tell you guys how nice that is. And then the warmth is cool because like if you're going up into a mountain and stuff like that, you can just go ahead and pop the warmth and you don't have to worry about what kind of clothes you're wearing, or do I have to put on wolf armor or anything like that to go up the mountain or any cold area at all. And recall is cool too because like it lets you it lets you go super far away, and then it pulls you back to your spawn point. So like if you've got your bed here, like I've got my bed here, and you're super far away, you're like, okay, I'm done adventuring for the day or whatever. My inventory's full. You just go ahead and you click recall, bam, you come back to your bed, and you don't lose anything. You still have all your stuff on you, which is nice. And travel just makes you run faster. That's really all it is. It just lets you run a lot faster than like this. And blink just teleports you a short distance forward, whichever direction you're facing. So it, and unfortunately, like, you can't have it blink you to the left or the right. It's just whatever direction you're facing. So if you're facing like this, it's not going to put you towards where the reticle is. It's actually going to put you where your character faces. So that's one thing, like, people, I've seen people playing with it and they don't pay attention to that. Like, they're running like this, they think it's going to teleport them over to where, like where this rock is if they're running this way, but no, it teleports them where the character's facing. So it's something to pay attention to. And then the glacial spike is just a whole bunch of little ice needles flying at creatures super fast, and it does a lot of good damage. And I'm sad I can't show them to you guys, but these, it's still a really good mod to play around with, even if you can't, even if, like what happens with me, and you can't experience the full ordeal. These mods, these ones that I have, the ones that you're going to be able to use, are still going to be good for you regardless of the situation. I use this a lot. I've played around with this for a while, and I like having it. Like, even though I don't have the full functionality, I still play with this. I still use these all the time. It's become kind of a staple for me now. But with that, folks, we are done for the week. So make sure you like, subscribe, drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think. Have fun, and we'll see you next time.